Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining me again today for our Tuesdays with Lab Tutor series. Today I'd like to show you some recent releases that are available for you to download and add to your Lab Tutor course curriculum. We've had several of these features in place for a while, but we now have the actual collections of pre-lab quizzes for the majority of our content offerings available as separate Lab Tutor entities. So today I'm going to show you how we can actually incorporate those directly into onto your Lab Tutor server and have your students go through this preparatory material before they come to class. And then we'll actually go through assembling these into a learning module, which is a fantastic new tool that will hopefully help your students get the most out of their Lab Tutor experience. So what I'm going to do here is take you through what these will look like from the student perspective. So I'm going to log on to my local Lab Tutor server here, and then we'll back up and we'll go through what this looks like from the administrator side of the course here. So let me go ahead and go into our full screen mode here. And what we'll want to do is log in with one of my demo student accounts. Oops. And you'll see what we've done is set up a course here that shows the pre-lab quizzes in two different forms. As they are currently released, they're available as individual Lab Tutor experiments that you would load onto your server in the traditional way. And then it's up to the students to actually find these and go through the preparatory material. Theoretically, this should work very, very well from Lab Tutor Online. That's really the emphasis here with this new release, is to allow you to get the most out of Lab Tutor Online so the students actually do this work from their web-enabled device before they come to class. So I'm going to go ahead and start the exercise here. You'll notice that we're in preview mode, so I need to click the little pencil up here to get started. And of course it gives me the warning, yes, I do in fact want to begin this exercise. Just like with all of our traditional releases, we have this little background button up at the top that opens up a pop-up. And this is the background material that the students should be aware of before they come to the actual lab portion of the course to do the work in class. So this has always been available via that little background button up at the top, and we've provided these as a Word document for you to include on your Blackboard or other learning management system. And now what we've done is actually incorporated these into these pre-lab quizzes so that your students can access them via Lab Tutor Online. So here's all the background material they need to do their pre-lab quiz. Now when we go to the next page, you'll see these multiple choice questions. And what I need to do is tick the correct answers, and of course I'm going to be a bad student here, just randomly click the answers. And now up here I need to have the submit button, right? This will submit my work and will allow me to move past the checkpoint that we've built into this pre-lab quiz. So you'll notice there are 4 pages in this exercise, but I'm only allowed to see the first 2 until I actually submit this page. Again, the email and print buttons you can choose to have available or not. Those are selectable via the server side, server administration side rather. So yes, I'm going to submit my report page, and you'll see that that now grays out these boxes. I can review my work, but I can't make any changes. And it also unlocks the next step. So here we've actually given the students the answer. These are essentially aliases that we've pasted here. And we've used just some little images here to show the students which the right answers would be. And you'll see I was in fact a rather bad student and seemed to not have guessed very well at these. The last page now of these pre-lab quizzes just gives them a little taste of what they're going to do in the actual hands-on laboratory session. So here you'll see the just a little taste of what the exercise looks like. So theoretically, they do all of this work before they come to class and log in with their group to do the actual group work. So now when I click home, you'll see the little check mark here that tells me that I've submitted my pre-lab quiz. Now, with this configuration, students can go ahead and jump ahead to the actual laboratory portion. We have in no way disabled any of this, so students could work ahead if they so chose. So one of the ways that one of the tools that we built into LabTutor that we can use here to sort of keep students on track is the actual learning module. So what you'll see with these modules is the little arrow here next to the module name. And what we do is we tie these individual exercises together so that this one must be submitted before the next one in line is unlocked. And we've now released a series of these for our preclinical medicine as well as our nursing collection are now available in this modular form. So students go through several tutorials that they do on their own via LabTutor Online, take the pre-lab quiz, and then come in and actually do the lab work. So just to show you what this looks like, you'll notice that same sort of pre-lab quiz, and I've just used LabAuthor to tie these together into the modular format. So I'm going to go ahead and start this. Click OK. When I move to my actual quiz page, again, I'm going to just do the random question answer here. I will submit. Yes, that's my final answer. Now I've unlocked the answer key so I can give myself some little formative assessment. Looks like I guessed a little better on this one than I did on the last one. And now the next page talks a little bit about what I'll actually be doing in the laboratory this week. So now you'll notice when I navigate back to the home page, the full laboratory exercise is now unlocked. So when we tie these elements together into a module, they have to be completed in order. Each the submission of the previous exercise by clicking that little submit button then unlocks the next set of exercises on your LabTutor server. So here's the EMG exercise. This is the traditional one from our human physiology collection, and I'll take you under the hood here and show you how we put these together using LabAuthor. So now I'm going to go ahead and leave LabTutor from the student perspective, and we'll go and we'll take a look here at how you would set these up as an administrator in the two different ways. Wrong password. Too many passwords. Here we go. So here I'm logged in as an administrator to my server. And what we'll need to do is come down here and look at the Experiments tab. And we'll just give this a second to check and compare what we have installed on our server to what's available from the web. And you'll now see for each one of our collections here, like the animal physiology section, we now have the animal physiology pre-lab quizzes, right? So if we wanted to take a look and just install specific ones, we would tick the boxes and we would be prompted to download just those. But of course, I've installed all of these on my server, and they are now available for me to put into my courses. So if I'd like to include a particular pre-lab quiz in my course, I just select the course that I'm interested in, find the experiments list tab, and you'll see here it's just a matter of picking the exercise, right? So if I want to add biofeedback and the biofeedback pre-lab quiz They're both listed right here, and it's just a matter of adding them to the course. You notice up here that our modules show up in a slightly lighter blue than the rest of the traditional exercises. So this is the server recognizing that these individual exercises I've put together and have coded with the module settings in LabAuthor are now assembled into that module automatically by the server, and then I add that entire module as a unit. So if I scroll down here, you'll see we have should have some other modules in here that are available. And again, this is always downloadable from our website. So here's our kidney and urine, and here's the heart and electrocardiography modules. All right, so they show up as light blue. So that's where you would add these into your courses, just like any other element. The next big thing that we would like to do is to actually be able to get those answers out in some sort of user-friendly way and be able to enter those into our gradebook without having to score every single one of those multiple choice questions manually. Now, of course, you're always welcome to copy our content and put that into your own learning management system if you're using Blackboard or Moodle or Desire to Learn. You can always take our content, enter those quizzes into your LMS and operate your quizzes that way. But if you don't have one, or you don't have one that's convenient, we do have a mechanism now that will allow you to get the student numbers out so that you can just get the numerical values for how these are scored. So if we go down here to student data and I click on status, I want to select the course that I'm interested in this case, Tuesdays with Lab Tutor, and I'd like to select the experiment that I'm interested in. So this will be the ECG and peripheral circulation pre-lab quiz. You'll see here that this module is also available because we took that EMG quiz as well. So these are the quizzes that have been started, and when I click search, it will now give me a list here of all of the students that have taken it, when they started it, how much time they spent on it, and how they submitted it. So you'll see this one down here was submitted directly to the server from my local network. All these other ones were actually submitted by a Lab Tutor online. Excuse me. So since we do have Lab Tutor online activated for this particular server, I'm going to need to navigate to that to be able to export these answers. If you're not using Lab Tutor online, you would be given the option here to export the student answers. But what I want to do now is we'll go ahead and click that link, and this will take me out to Lab Tutor Online that's associated with my server. Now I just log in again with my same credentials. The machine's thinking. And you'll see the administrator interface for Lab Tutor Online is greatly diminished from what I see when I look directly at my server on the local area network. So again, I want to select status. I want to pick the course I'm interested in and the experiment that I'm interested in. When I click search, I'll see this same information I had from my local network, but I now have the ability to export these answers. And so this will export the student answers as a comma separated value, right? CSV template spreadsheet that I can then open in Excel. So let me leave Lab Tutor Online here and show you the other half. So I've now exported my student answers. What I need to do is go back to my local server, and I need to find the answer key that goes along with the exercise that I'm interested in. So this was the ECG and peripheral circulation exercise, and I need to find the instructor's materials section here. So from the experiments tab, select instructor's material and then find the ECG and peripheral circulation pre-lab quiz. So now when I click on the little icon to the right here, this will open up a folder, and you'll see here it gives me the opportunity to download the pre-lab quiz marking template. So this is an Excel file that has the template to score your students' material already loaded into it. And we've provided one of these for each one of these pre-lab exercises. Okay? So now it's a two-part system here. We've downloaded our student answers, and we've now downloaded the pre-lab quiz marking template. So let me go ahead and leave Internet Explorer here. So here are the two files that we've downloaded, right? Here's the pre-lab quiz marking template. We'll go ahead and load that up. And each one of these exercises will come with their own template. You can't use the template from EMG to grade the report from ECG, and vice versa. So these are the sorts of things that will be downloaded from the from the student's pre-lab quiz. User ID, how much time they spent, how it was submitted, etc. So quite a bit of the metadata is available here. I'm just going to double space this so you can see how everything looks. Tells me what the experiment is, how many were left in progress, etc. So just as placeholders here, we always have four little student example, right, persons that we've inserted here. And what we'll need to do now is go ahead and open up the student answers that we exported. And so that's found here. And you'll see this is what it actually looks like when it contains our student data. So again, let me select all, and you'll see here these are the actual demo students that I had set up, and we actually took the quiz. Here's the one that we just took, right, that we didn't take via LabTutor Online. So all of this information here is exported. This works for the multiple choice questions. It works for the sub-panel ordering items where you have students just click and drag to put the boxes in the correct order, as well as the subpage selection elements where they click and drag the appropriate answers from one box to the other. This will also export the traditional short answer questions. Of course, they won't be able to be automatically scored. Those you'll need to go in and actually see the text. It will put the text in the proper box as you export it. So for these multiple choice questions, we'll highlight all of them, and then we'll copy this page. And then what we need to do is, just going to minimize that, take our marking template here and then paste. So what I've done is I pasted my data directly on top of the marking template. Now this is the first sheet in the marking template. You'll notice there are actually 3 sheets here. So now when we go to the results tab on our marking template, you'll see that again, we have these nice big floating boxes here with the instructions. We now have the first 4 rows of our student answers imported onto this page with all of the appropriate equations based on the model answers and the equations to actually give us a score. Well, I actually had more than 4 students take this quiz. If I go back here and look at student answers, you'll see I have to go down to row 17 here to include all of my students. So now if I go to the results page, what I need to do is highlight row 11 and grab the little fill down box and drag that down to row 17. Now that I've dragged that down to row 17, all of my students are populated, all of their scores are now entered into this box. And we can now copy and paste that into our gradebook or wherever else we need to take that student data to be able to report it to them. So while we don't have an automatic scoring feature built into LabTutor at the moment, this is a workaround that will allow you to relatively quickly get those multiple choice answers out and get them scored. The third page here of the marking template contains some graphs. So if you'd like to see the score versus the amount of time that your students spent on the lab, again, we just need to update the data series here. So when I click on the green bars, you'll see it gives me the results for those first 4 placeholder students. I need to take this down to row 17 to show all of my students. Now if I click on the blue line here, I need to update this to 17 as well, so I'm just changing the 14s to whatever my last row was. And there you have it. You'll see that that graph updates. So again, the types of data that can be exported are the subpage controller areas, the multiple choice questions, and the short answer text boxes. Of course, the text boxes and whatnot will not be automatically scored. The other issue that you may find is if you allow multiple submissions, right? If they have to tick 3 of the 5 boxes in your multiple choice question, the spreadsheet will not automatically give partial credit. So if partial credit is an issue, you will need to go in there and score those manually. So that's the student view of a LabTutor pre-lab quiz. That's the administration side of how to deploy them. Now I want to take you into LabAuthor and actually show you how to put these together as a cohesive module. So I'm going to just slip over here and we'll launch LabAuthor for a second. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and open an exercise here. Let me find our LabTutor documents here. So here's my directory with all of my experiment files, and you'll notice here that I've downloaded a second copy of each one of these using the check for updates feature that's available via LabAuthor. Remember, you don't ever want to have LabAuthor installed on your server machine. I'm at a separate terminal here. You do not want to use LabAuthor via your server. If you were to accidentally author on the copy that the server was using simultaneously, really shockingly bad things would happen. So remember, you always want to download a secondary copy for authoring purposes. So let's say I wanted to take sensory illusions here and turn this into a module. I'm going to go ahead and open the Sensory Illusions Pre-Lab Quiz. And this is just a matter of double-clicking on that green icon, and now you'll see LabAuthor will load this up. And what I need to do is go to Edit and select Experiment Properties. So this is a dialog you're probably familiar with if you've used LabAuthor at all. And with the latest release, we've now added this Learning Modules property element. So if I want this to be part of a learning module, I need to tick the little checkbox here, and you'll notice it now gives me these pink warning bars here. This means I need to give this dialog some more information. We have this nice little drop down here. If I had been working on multiple modules from this machine, this will keep a list of all of the modules that you have designated, so you can just select the one that you're inserting this particular exercise into. But since this is brand new, I'm going to just call this Illusions module. And then I need to give it an order. So now ordering these is very important. We're not going to see this actually become part of a module until it's loaded onto your server. So obviously we're going to want the quiz to be done before the in-lab exercise. So I want to make sure I give this a number that is lower than the order number I'm going to give the in-lab exercise. So we always recommend you start with 10. So 10 will always be the first element in the module that I'm looking at. So if for some reason I decide to add something else to it, if I wanted to add a video that students would watch before they went into this tutorial and took a quiz, I could build my video into another lab tutor exercise and give it an order number of 9. And then when I upload that to my server, it's automatically placed into that module in front of my pre-lab quiz. So I'm always going to give myself a little bit of extra room in here, because the server assembles these modules in the order that you type in here. And they don't need to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can be 10, 20, 30, 40. That way, if you decide to make a change and you want to put a 35 in there, you just give it number 35 and it will immediately drop it right in between. So this is going to be order number 10. I'm also going to want to make a note here if I've made any changes to the experiment. So if I edited text or did any other touch-ups here, I'm going to want to update my experiment version number right here as well. So update those two. We'll click OK. I'm now going to save the experiment. And I'm now going to save an experiment installer. This is the little zip file that I'll need to upload it to my server. So give it a file name. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I save this to the desktop. All right, so we've now designated this to be the first portion of our Lab Tutor Learning module. I'm going to go ahead and open another experiment now. This time I want the sensory illusions exercise, right? So we'll open that one. So I'm not going to make any other changes to this experiment. I'm just going to tie it together to my other one in the module. So I open experiment properties, I tick the box. Now from my drop down you'll see I have illusions. That's the module I want to attach it to. I'm going to give this the number 20. No change to the experiment version, that's okay. Click OK. So I now do a save and then a save installer. I'm going to put it on the desktop, save. Just like that. So now I have the two exercises that I have designated to be part of modules. Now it's just a matter of logging on to my server from the admin side, uploading the experiment, installing the experiment, and adding each of the experiments to my course. Now remember, as soon as these are installed on your server, they will instantly be put under that Illusions module and will show up in light blue, so you will only have that one element to install into each of your courses. So with that said, I'd really like to thank everybody for joining me here today. And If there are any questions at all, I'll be happy to answer them now. Thanks again for joining me.